It'll be a warm day to celebrate Youth Day. It was back in 1976 that young people faced a policy that made them unequal and kept them in poverty. They won that battle, of course, but today there's still inequality and poverty persisting. Senior reporter Dasen Thathiah is out on the streets of Durban, just taking a look, aren't you, Dasen, at some of the challenges the youth are facing and the solutions that they're hoping to see. Of course, the biggest one is all about jobs, that youth unemployment staggeringly high, isn't it? Morning, Dasen.
Morning, Gareth, and especially scary after COVID and all of the other challenges that we've had in the country as well as KwaZulu-Natal. So I think the message is the same, especially among the youth when it comes to unemployment, still a big concern. So the challenges today still exist, but they may be slightly different from all those years ago when we had those Soweto uprisings. But let me bring in my guest now, Lungile Maluleka, an attorney. Very nice to have this chat with you on this crisp morning. I think let me start with reflecting on the day itself. Personally, for you as a 25-year-old, what does it mean to you?
Honestly, I think it means just to honor and to celebrate this day because it's one of the special days in history that we should, as young people, honor and celebrate and be so grateful for what the youth of 1976 has done for us. Honestly, we wouldn't be where we are if it wasn't for them. So it's just to honor that and also, give support to families that lost their loved ones during that time. And I think you still see some families are still suffering up to today because of the loss of what occurred. But yeah, for me, it's just to celebrate and honor the day.
Lungile, what's your journey been like? I mean, you're still very much a young person, but I'm talking about in the years leading up to this. What have you picked up in terms of challenges that you faced or the youth around you have faced?
I think honestly, personally, there might be a lot because I grew up in two parts of KZN, being the rural, and after that I moved to Durban. And being in the rural, challenges are different. You talk about lack of resources in schools. You see a lot of challenges in schools, and also in the community where you live in a community where there's no much hope of what you could become. You're just studying because you have to study from grade R to grade 12. There's not much that you look up to or look forward to. You live in a community. I think in my community there's no attorney, to be honest. But
But you changed all that.
Yes, actually, that's where you come, and you come to a big city, you realize that there's so much to life, and you see that you want so much to do, and you just but not everyone is as I could say as privileged as having had an opportunity to look at life in a broader sense, meet people that can give you hope. I think for me that's what has been one thing that I am so grateful for, because had I been there for the rest of my life, I think it would have been very difficult for me. But in general, as I say, it's that in terms of education, you still see a bit of inequalities in terms of schools. Having been in the school that is at Obo, that's where I grew up partly, and when you move to Durban, there is a bit of difference. So I think those are one of the challenges that I've saw that we can still improve. They fought a good fight, the youth of 1976 to the education system, but there's still a room for improvement.
So do you think that's key to getting more Lungiles, more attorneys, more professionals in this day?
I think yes, for professionals we can support schools, definitely support universities, because the fight doesn't end there. It doesn't only end when you are in fact that is the easier parts of things when you are actually in school. Foundation is important, but what is more important is also assisting students when they're in the tertiary level to make sure that they fight all the problems that they have. There's so many problems, if I could count them.
Let me give you just a quick one-liner, an opportunity, just your very quick message to our government today. What can they do for our youth?
As I said, it's very important to try and improve, your infrastructure in schools. It's very important to support university students. You go to university, there's so many students who actually get financially excluded, and also to support now the industry, because you study, but when you get to university, you get the degree, but you have so many unemployed graduates. So government has a responsibility to support businesses that are currently existing, small businesses, medium medium businesses. But I cannot only say only government, also big businesses. You know, you can expand the market. It's very important to expand the market so that when the graduates come, they can have the necessary experience, necessary, you know, doors to actually open, because it doesn't help. We have a high rate of unemployment youth. So to try and bring closer to solution, it's a long journey, yes, but they should try and make sure that they expand the market to make sure that graduates are there, because people would say, you know, people can be entrepreneurs, but I personally think you need the experience. So you need someone to mentor you, to guide you and support you, and that's what our government could do, I think.
Thank you so much for your time, Lungile. Gareth, you can tell that she's an attorney. I think we're going to continue this conversation off camera, but some very important points that are being raised today about the education system as well as government assistance in creating more employment.
Yeah, it's all about the education system, isn't it? And I think anyone watching who's young right now, off the back of you speaking to your guest, Dasen, a young attorney like that, it is possible, but of course the youth needs the support. I'm not sure Dasen Thathiah and I still qualify as youth these days, but I think we're going to continue the conversations a little bit later. Out in the freezing cold for us in KZN.